Hello. I am not getting signals from the YouTube channel. So I don't know who's here and who's not here. Can you all say hello in the chat? My attendee count still says 0. So I've been sitting here drinking my coffee and waiting for y'all to get here. But maybe y'all have been here for 5 minutes and just wondering when I'm going to start. So, hello. Say hello in the chat. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you are dialing in from. And we're just going to dive right in. Let me check one thing on my audio. So, this week was an interesting week for me. The QL crew focuses on quality longevity, and that is obviously our activity and our nutrition, but it's also our mental health. And if you've seen my Instagram posts this week, then um, you know that I've had kind of a rocky week, and it hasn't been anything traumatic, um, but it was things that just sort of brought up for me the power of doing this quality longevity work, focusing on the tenets of this program, which include start where you are and do what you can do. And we focus on progress over perfection. And both of those came up for me this week. The progress over perfection piece showed up when I had several things drop into my calendar that could not be moved, and they dropped into an already packed calendar. And so I had to look at all of the things that I had on my list that I wanted to get done this week, and then prioritize and decide which ones had to be done this week and which ones could be pushed out. So that was the first piece, rather than trying to fit it all into one time frame, right? And then the second piece of that was to um, really determine to what level to complete those tasks. So some of them had lots of steps, but there were levels of completion. And so I went back to a tenet that I grew up with, and that is that good enough is. Now, when I was growing up, the focus there was enough is, right? Enough is when we make it so. What we have is enough when we make it so. As I got into my professional life, those of you who know me know that I'm sort of an A plus plus kind of driver. Um, at the beginning of my professional career, I attacked every challenge as if my life depended on it. And as I got more responsibility in my professional career, I started to burn myself down a little bit. And then finally, I learned that good enough is do the work to the point that it is good enough for the next teammate to take on the next thing, for you to call the thing done enough where it could move a project or an initiative forward. And that's been a hard one for me to put into practice over the years. I keep getting better at it. And I think that's another point of QL Crew, right? Is that we start where we are, we do what we can do, and we start where we are in everything on every day, right? So the good enough is came through with that list of things that I had to get done this week. And I worked on deciding which pieces and parts had to get done and to what level they had to get done. If you have experiences like this, go ahead and add them in the chat. I see we have Maggie in the chat today, and I'm excited. Maggie, thank you so much for making it. So if you've had experiences like this, definitely share them and we'll chat about those. The other piece of this sort of mental health awareness was in letting people into our space in ways that are respectful to us. I had a very collegial conversation with someone earlier this week, but I could tell that our working styles was not going to be very conducive to success. And I decided that I'm not going to choose to interact with that individual unless it's absolutely necessary. And if it is, I'm going to make sure that I maintain my boundaries, right? So, quality longevity is definitely about fitness and definitely about nutrition, but it's also very much about keeping ourselves healthy up here as our responsibilities in our lives shift, the amount of energy that gets pulled in different directions also shifts. I know for me, I have an adult kid and I have parents in their 80s, and I'm very blessed to have both of my parents, and I'm very blessed that both of my parents are healthy and thriving. That wasn't the case with my husband's mom. Some of you know that our journey helping her through her diabetes and then dementia that was exacerbated by that diabetes. And then also uh, my husband's hereditary prediabetes is what prompted us to start this work and what prompted me to start QL Crew. So we're protecting our mental health and handling all of our responsibilities. And we're working to fit our fitness and our quality nutrition in with all of those responsibilities. I think that's part of what makes QL Crew different than other programs. In fact, I don't even have to say I think. If you look on Instagram and you read or you watch the testimonials from our original crew members, they'll speak about it. This is not a program that is designed as a regimen, as in do this, you must do this, you must do this. It is designed so that we learn to pay attention to where we are. And that's where we are in the continuum of our life, but it's also where we are in the day and when the day gets messy, where we are in the moment. How we go forward in QL Crew when things get messy, as they did for me this week. And again, nothing tragic, just got busier than I should have been, and had some things come down the pike that were pressing. How do we manage that? The so I'll give you some examples from this week, right? Um, there was a day where I needed to start the things that I had to get done early, like 4 a.m. early. I didn't get my workout in the morning like I usually do. And my workouts vary throughout the week. If you've seen my Instagram, you know I have a home gym in the garage and it's nothing fancy. It's just some hand weights, yoga mat, yoga ball. I have a chair, and then I actually did buy a bench, a supine bench, so that I can do like bench press and rows and things like that safely for the back that I have. You may or may not know I've got two old fractures in my back. So, didn't get my workout done in the morning. I am not good at getting my workouts done in the afternoon. By the end of the day, I'm done. I'm toast. I'm over. And that particular day lasted until 6 p.m. So I'm running and doing stuff from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I'm going, oof, I haven't even done my 10 minutes. And at the beginning of QL Crew, that's where we start is 10 minutes because we're worth 10 minutes. So I threw dinner on the stove, stepped out into the garage, started my workout, came in, stirred dinner, added the next thing to the stove, went back out, did part of my workout, came in, put the lid on the one pot that was done, stirred the other one, added the last ingredients, and closed that lid, popped out, finished the workout, came back in, called my hubby upstairs, said, dinner's ready. So we fit quality longevity practices into wherever they fit in our lives. Now, Maggie's talking about reflecting on a day that she had, right? What was great about it? What goofed up, right? And what she says is the great thing is that every day is a new day and she gets to start over. And I absolutely love that sentiment. And she's right. Every day we get to re up, every day we get to re engage. Uh, I woke up at 3:30 this morning because I gave in to a junk food craving last night. Um, I was sitting down at the end of the day. I had poured a great beer, and I was like, I think I want some chips with my beer, which isn't a bad thing, right? The problem was it was a little bit late at night, and I don't eat chips a whole lot often anymore. I've been on this QL Crew journey now for about 18 months. Um, and so at 3:30 this morning, those chips were talking to me. And I didn't have a lot of them, and we should definitely enjoy those. But next time I know, don't do it at 9 o'clock at night. So, yes, Maggie, you're absolutely right. Every day you get to start over. And in fact, when the day falls apart, because they do, right? That's real life. When the day falls apart, the best thing that you can do for yourself is finish handling whatever it is that came in and threw the day off its kilter, right? Take care of that. And then look, okay, what are the other pressing priorities? What did I have to push south to finish that thing that showed up? Okay, let me take care of that. So I've got my must do's done. And then pause, take a breath. Did you know that an 8-second breath actually grounds you? There was years ago, I used the Headspace app for meditation, loved it. I've since moved on to Insight Timers because the content is more appropriate for where I am in my life now. If you've never meditated, Headspace is an amazing one to start with. So there was a thing on there that had a graphic that was a figure eight. So imagine a figure eight. Okay. Now imagine a little ball running around that figure eight like a Hot Wheel on a track. Only it goes 8 seconds. And you breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you do 3 8 counts. 3 8 counts, right? So and that's up and down. So that's actually 6 times 8, right? That's 48 seconds. That's less than a minute. I pretty much promise you, you can find a minute between any amount of chaos, unless you're, running late for a plane and they're shutting the doors. But then guess what? The minute you stow your luggage and sit down, you can do 8 count. So when life goes off the rails, when it goes off kilter, when things get off track, pause and start there. Again, start where you are, do what you can do. I was chatting with some of our original I can't speak this morning. I need more coffee. QL crew members yesterday. And one of the original members was speaking about quite an upheaval that has happened in their life. And when upheavals happen, a lot of us, I know I'm guilty of this, a lot of us deprioritize ourselves. Some of this is ingrained training. I promise you, I have done that since I became an older sister at the age of 2. So when this thing happened for them, they kind of let their own sustainable lifestyle habits falter. And as is their nature, and not everyone's like this, as is their nature, they started to kind of beat themselves up a little bit like, "Oh, I'm not doing what I need to do." And that has a tendency to increase the stress and the pressure because we're not speaking positively to ourselves. And granted, I don't speak positively to myself all the time either. I try, but I can be a beast. And sometimes I'm a beast to myself. So we spoke yesterday and we were talking about progress over perfection. And I said, okay, let's not talk about what you haven't done. Let's talk about what you have done. What have you done? And simply because they were in the program all of 2025. So they've been in the program now for about 15 months. And the whole point of QL Crew is that we build sustainable lifestyle habits, meaning habits that we can keep up with in the course of our regular life. And so upon reflection, they recognized that even though life had gone kind of wonk, they were still eating way better than they were last April. And they were still finding time in the day to do a couple of extra times up and down the stairs. And that's progress over perfection. None of this is about being perfect. None of it is about being perfect. It's about making progress, starting where you are and doing what you can do on any given day. Um, I think it was Thursday this week. Yeah, it was Thursday. So again, a lot was going on. And Thursday wasn't 4 a.m. to 6 p.m., but it was heavy. And at 6:19, I logged off of my computer and I hadn't gotten up and done my walk that morning. I usually do my walks on Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings because I had a really early call to take. And so I had planned on doing it when I finished my workday to the point that I actually was wearing yoga pants underneath the presentable top so that I just had to take off the sweater. I had the t-shirt and yoga pants on. That's priming, right? And it's a commitment to myself. Um, and so it's 6:19 in my house. We try to eat dinner around 6:30 so that we're not eating too late. And I went, nope, I'm going to do my walk. I'm not going to do all 4 miles, but I can do 3. And then I can get dinner on the stove. And part of my sustainable habits and part of what keeps my family and I on track is that I loosely plan a menu on Sunday mornings. Again, if you've seen me on Instagram, there's times where I'm sitting with a stack of cookbooks because I'm bored with what we've been eating and I'm trying to get creative and find something new. So I'm sitting there going, oh, I have beets to roast and I have sprouts to roast. Both of those take significant prep time. I love them. They're delicious, but they take significant prep time. And I went, no, no, I'm not doing it. They'll last. They're not going to spoil. I will, in fact, I'm planning on serving them this evening or tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how today goes. I'm waiting on family coming in on a flight and a train. I know the flight's already going to be late, so we'll see. Um, but I knew I had a cabbage in the fridge and I knew I had some shredded carrots in the fridge. And so while I'm on my walk, I'm thinking, okay, what will go? I had some lean pork chops to make. What will go with the pork chops? What can I do with the cabbage? And I'm thinking while I'm walking. And I came back and I made the most delicious slaw. So I did the cabbage and the carrots. And then I had a little bit of dill left over that wasn't completely woogly because fresh herbs will go woogly in your fridge. And I had some cilantro, which I know is a love-hate thing, but I love it. My hubby loves it. So it was cabbage, carrots, dill, cilantro, and then I also had pomegranate seeds and pistachios. Holy dang! Trader Joe's makes a really, really good dill dressing, so that's what we dressed it with. Let me tell you, it was fabulous. And it didn't take me hours to put on the table. I did my walk. I threw the pork chops on while the pork chops were cooking. I made the slaw, hollered at hubby, said, can you come down? Can you flip the pork chops? Right? Because we have to ask for help when we need it. He flipped the pork chops while I finished up the rest of dinner. We were seated by 7:20-ish, I think, maybe 7:30. So we ate an hour late. We still ate very balanced and healthy. Now, here's what that would have looked like 18 months ago. 18 months ago, I would have blown off the walk and I would have door dashed. And I would have door dashed processed food because that's what you can get on DoorDash. So again, sustainable habits, starting where we are, doing what we can do. There was no way I was going to bake all those or roast all those veggies and eat dinner at 8:30 at night because then, I'm going to have beets and Brussels sprouts talking to me like I had my chips talking to me last night. But we think, okay, how can I pivot? How can I iterate on this? How can I change my plan? So, QL Crew is about progress, not perfection, starting where we are, doing what we can do. Have another comment um, in the chat saying the battle starts in the mind. So when trials come up and those voices want to beat us down, oh my gosh, this is so good. It's okay to tell them to get out and start concentrating on all of the blessings in your life, even the small ones. So the small blessing in that was that my dill was not too wiggly to use, and it was a great flavor to that slaw. And I will post the recipe on Instagram so that it will live there. I wish I had taken a photo of it. I'm sorry that I didn't. Um, Maybe I'll make it again and post it. Uh, but I want to thank all of you for spending some time with me today. If there's any questions before we go, I'm happy to answer those. The point is, right? The point is QL Crew, Quality Longevity Crew, is not about a perfect program. It is about progress over perfection, starting where we are, doing what we can do, because we have to fit this in our real life. And it's choices that we make, like Maggie said, every day, or when things go wonk, in the moment. In the moment. And when days completely fall off the rails and we don't get our workout in, we fit it somewhere else, or we eat chips at 9 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night or whatever time it was last night. We remind ourselves, A, don't eat them so late, and remind ourselves to limit eating them. Um, and we celebrate life's little things, right? We celebrate our blessings, including finding dill in the bottom of the veggie drawer that hasn't gone completely over. All right, all have a fabulous Saturday. We'll see you on socials. You can interact with me there. You can always post questions there in the DMs. You can post questions at the end of any of the QL Crew videos. And if you want any of the guides on how to find the videos, or if you're here and you don't know how to make a YouTube account so that you can participate in the chats, I've got a cheat sheet for that as well. Hope you have a great Saturday, and I will see you all later. Take care.